sweet. Thanks very much for your time. If I can just take you back to 2003, the club was in crisis. Mystery Consortium had taken over, and you decided to get a group of people together to form a supporters trust. First of all, why a supporters trust instead of a protest group?
I can't remember last weekend, let alone 2003. The question. So yeah, take me back to then. I remember this sort of. I think it's about a 12-hour meeting at the Brookies actually that all started from a certain little website, getting a load of people together. The trust, the formation of the trust was great because supporters at the time. Yes, they needed another protest group. They needed something with substance. Not to say that any others weren't, but it actually needed to have a commercial entity. In order to progress matters, to have any kind of involvement in any kind of control with progression going forward. Hence the reason why supporters trusts were originally created, and Luton lagged behind a little bit on that. So that was my recollection of the time then, and it's probably proved to be right. If you think that the trust, through the trust's non-involvement in J10 days, action was taken, and through the trust's involvement during our days, 2020 days, action's also been taken. So, and you could say one negatively, the other positively, and so the relationship's fantastic now, I'm pleased to say.
Absolutely. Did you have a long-term vision for the trust when it was created?
Yeah, it lasted about 2 weeks just to get rid of that fat bloke Gurney. So, and his cohorts. That was about it. In all seriousness, at the time, no. I mean, I think as things evolved, it was far more than me, by the way. Of course. I might have suggested the initial meeting, but that involved a lot of people, and there were 4 of us. A couple of us that really initiated it, Andy Cornelius and myself, I think, and then who's just always there, is top bloke, and then 2 or 3 others that were on the board, and then numerous others that got things done, that are still around now, and one of them got an award tonight. I'm proud of my sort of involvement with those people. So it's throughout that evolution, I think it was conceived that the trust would actually then go on to take a shareholding in the football club, and so during Barry Ward's administration back in 2003-04, that was negotiated.
You mentioned the evolution and the shareholding. The trust have picked up not just the shareholding but also image rights for the football club. How important is that?
Yeah, strictly speaking, to be technically correct, it's the rights to veto the change of image rights. It's difficult for a football club to remove itself from its own image rights, but the rights to veto, this allows supporters to have a say in what changes to kit colour, to nickname, to mascot, and to even the name. And you look at just what's been happening recently in Hull and Cardiff and all those things, which is just an abomination in football. Then we felt actually that this was absolutely right. It's the right thing to do. That actually, we are. It just goes along with that whole thought process of ours, which is, 2020 are custodians. We're not going to be here until the football club dies. Thankfully, other people can take this on. We'd like it, ideally, on whenever that day is, for it to be supporters, and supporters should have a say in how the club's run. These are the simple areas where we're looking at. So, we've since then we've actually had a number of discussions with the trust, all positive, about colour changes, a little bit of something going on in the next couple of weeks. That'll be a little bit of a removal as such from that, but all very, very understandable and quite exciting.
Excellent. If I can bring you back to the present day, and if I can get you to take your Chief Executive's hat off and put your lifelong supporters hat on. It was recently announced that the Supporters Club and the Trust in Luton were to merge. Was that a move that you supported?
Yeah, both fantastic organisations with one with a massive history, the other one being a little bit, more fresh, more, newer in its creation, but with that commercial entity base. I think it was kind of a natural progress, and I think the name change that's being proposed is also very sensible, because it does bring the 2 organisations much more closer than they have been. And you know, I think what's happened since that sort of merger is that the board of that organisation has become much stronger, and we applaud that. I mean, just a word here. I mean, I think the general consensus is that the football club's being well run. At least there's no chaos in the club at the moment. There's no critical path to destruction, which I think is what was happening beforehand. It's actually now that trusts are really strong. Trusts are needed. This isn't a message to say don't trust us. You can, of course. People should know that by now. But when chaos happens, and I can guarantee you, chaos at Luton Town Football Club will happen again. You know, hopefully not in my lifetime, but it will happen again. The trust is going to be needed, and the trust now being stronger now with Luton Town Supporters Club, and can be supported by other supporters organisations very, very well, does need to establish some certain principles and operations and procedures that are ready for that day. Who knows when that is? It's not a word of warning or anything like that. We're sound, we're secure, we're going, but don't wait until the rainy day. Save the money, you know, before that. That's my only sort of recommendation. We've had that conversation, and you know, there's always this thing I always used to say before I was involved. You know, always keep your eyes open, your ears open, and almost I can't trust nobody. You can trust us, absolutely, but just be ready. Is the only message I'd say.
Indeed, and just finally, going forward, how important is the role of the trust in the future?
Yeah, just on that last point, there's no inherent message here. We're absolutely sound. 2028 here for the foreseeable future. It's just trusts in general only often act, you know, when they feel it's needed, and the preparation of that sometimes is too late. You look at the number of clubs. We were at Northampton yesterday. And look at that club, the way the trust. It was one of the original trusts, I think, Northampton. But they were slow in reacting. You know, they let it slip. They were slow in reacting. Couldn't react to their troubles recently. A lot of situations like that all over the country. So that's my only thing. Sorry to labour on that. What was the question?
Yeah.
So I was asking.
Going forward, how important is the role of the trust in the future?
Well, I've just said it. Yeah, I mean, absolutely crucial at every football club around the country. And you know, this isn't about the increasing of shares. So not about the increasing of shares or anything like that. You've got the shares. You've got enough shares to know, everything that's going on at the football club in the trust. We're happy to share that. We do on a regular basis. So it's just in terms of the way I see the involvement is that one day when our major accomplishments have been achieved, the board will regroup. That will be beyond 2020, and you know, we might want to at some point consider what's going to happen when we exit, and that might be 2030, 2040, who knows. It's a long way off, but we do have to consider those things, and so our natural port of call would be Luton Town Sports Trust, and we'd love more involvement in that. There are some little small steps, like talked about the involvement in the stadium, however that might be. We'd like to secure something for the trust, but the trust has got to buy the right to be able to do that. Gifting of this nature is very, very difficult legally and commercially. So there are a lot of things that can happen to set the trust up to be able to take on that role.
Excellent. Gary Sweet, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Cheers.